Hey, welcome to The Magic in the Music. I'm Jen. If you are thinking about planning a trip to Disney World in the near future, something you're going to need to think about is how you're going to dine. So today's video is got you covered. We are going to show you the best places to dine with physical distancing at Disney World, so stick around. One quick announcement is that we were recently interviewed for the Dueling Disney podcast, and our friends Andy and Al were so much fun to hang out with, and we chatted about our channel, we chatted about what our recent trip to Disney World was like. So if any of those things interest you, or you just want to check out another great Disney podcast, head on over to wherever you like to get your podcasts. They're on all of them, and you can find the Dueling Disney podcast. It is really great. Please check them out, please subscribe, and give them a review. So on our recent trip to Disney World, we had made the decision that we were only going to eat outdoors or eat outdoors as much as possible. So first you might wonder why. Well, if Disney says that they've blocked out every table, doesn't that just mean that everything's perfectly safe? Well, that may be so, but we don't really know. And so we would rather, out of an abundance of caution, have a greater physical distancing. In each of these, we are going to start with kind of the worst physically distanced location and move up to our favorite. So it's a bit of a countdown. So the first one on our list is good old Magic Kingdom. And so our first one on the list is going to be the outdoor patio at Cosmic Rays. So remember, these are specifically places where you have the opportunity to eat outdoors. If you don't hear us mention a location, it's because it's basically all indoor dining. So the patio at Cosmic Rays is a pretty good location. It has a pretty good sized patio. It's covered, protected from the sun and rain, which is really important in Florida, particularly in the summer. But our big challenge on this one is that you are close to a major walkway. So it's difficult because there's a lot of traffic coming through. And speaking of traffic, you are right across from the Tomorrowland Speedway or Autopia or whatever they call it these days with the cars, and you have the car engines running. So you have the smell and you have the noise pollution of this attraction right across the way. Personally, for me, that never made it very appealing to dine on the outdoor area at Cosmic Rays. When we did dine there, we went around the north side and we sat kind of more facing toward Mad Tea Party. So that was a little bit out of the main path. So there weren't as many people walking. We didn't smell the cars quite so much, and it was just a little bit more comfortable place. Next one for the Magic Kingdom is the patio at Pinocchio's Village House. So we went into Pinocchio's Village House because we knew that our children would eat the food there. And we went in hoping we could find a spot that was physically distanced enough indoors. Unfortunately, we were not able to find that. Luckily, a very kind cast member let us know that the outdoor patio was in fact open and available. It's just that no one was sitting there. So we made our way outside, and you have an area that has numerous tables with umbrellas. This is not a good option if it's raining, but if it's just sunny, the umbrella does give you some protection from the sun. It's not too hot. And we actually had a really pleasant meal there. We were the only people dining on the outdoor patio, so physical distancing wasn't an issue. And it was kind of cool because we were in the middle of Fantasyland, which is normally a very busy place, but we were able to kind of just peek out and like have a view. It was really quite a nice little spot. Up next, this has two parts to it. Get your food at Pecos Bill's, but don't eat it at Pecos Bill's. Walk around to the opposite side where you're right across from the exit of Pirates of the Caribbean, and that is the Tortuga Tavern area, which is typically closed. Take your food over to the Tortuga Tavern seating area and actually eat it there. There is a very conveniently located restroom. You can wash your hands. It is covered. It's out of the sun and the rain, unless you will get rained on if you're on the very edge of the tables. But it's a really great spot, and a lot of people don't realize that it is there. So definitely take advantage of that. I will warn you, we went in there when it was not raining and it started raining, and then suddenly everybody crowded in. So that made it a little bit more challenging. So just be a little bit mindful of like the weather conditions. Our number one pick for physically distanced places to eat in the Magic Kingdom, we have kind of this is a little bit convoluted because it would be to buy your food at any of the quick service locations that are open and walk to one of two locations. Walk to the area at the back of Storybook Circus where you go kind of up the kind of the terraced area, and there's sort of this little like circusy thing, and it's sort of not enclosed, it's kind of enclosed, and that was an amazing spot. It's completely covered from the sun and rain, and nobody goes back there, and there are picnic tables, so you could actually sit down and eat your meal in complete privacy. No worries about being around anyone else, and no worries about anyone really coming and sitting next to you because it's just not an in-demand area. There are also a few little tables that have umbrellas by them. That is one, and our other one that tied is to get your quick service food and then take it to the picnic tables that are located behind the Christmas store. So this is in the area of Hall of Presidents, across the road from there, and kind of back toward the gazebo where you would meet Mary Poppins. This was a great little hidden gem. There are just a few picnic tables back there, and they're kind of in a straight line, so it's very difficult for anyone to be super close to you or crowded. That was a really great place to eat, and so you could just bring your food. If you didn't like the seating options where you got your food, just bring it to a place where you do feel comfortable eating. Next, we are heading on over to Epcot, our favorite places for physically distanced dining at Epcot. So the first one we were so excited about, and now we found out they've closed it. Tangerine Cafe. We love Tangerine Cafe. This is some of the best value in terms of quick service, and the food is just so good. Unfortunately, recently they did close that one. Hopefully it'll open back up later. I'm not too concerned about that. I think it will reopen. The next one on our list is the Yorkshire County Fish Shop. This is in the UK. And this one's a little bit tricky because the normal dining area for this quick service location is that you would go down this ramp and you'd go way, way down towards the water. It's kind of a really good area actually for viewing of the Epcot fireworks. Well, that dining area is blocked off and is currently being used as a max relaxation zone. So what I would do is probably recommend getting your fish and chips, and then maybe walking on the bridge over the bridge that goes between the UK and France. And there's actually a pathway that goes down, and then there's like this whole kind of like island there that it does not have tables. But if you're willing to sit and dine without a table, that is a really great physically distanced spot. Not a lot of people in there. The caveat is no cover from sun or rain. Our next pick is La Cantina de San Angel. That is located in the Mexico Pavilion, and it is right on the water. This has a reasonably comfortable covered outdoor seating area. I would say if it was a peak or very busy time, it might be difficult to maintain your physical distancing here, but we went at an off-peak time and it was pretty comfortable. We were basically okay. Really good airflow. You have a good breeze coming through there, and so that really helps things. And I think they have ceiling fans in there too. So that was a pretty comfortable spot. Our next pick for Epcot is Regal Eagle Smokehouse. This is our newest dining location in Epcot, and it has a pretty good sized outdoor area. Yes, the tables are a little bit too dense for my tastes, so I would either pick a table around the perimeter, or was very happy to see that they had moved a few tables out away from the group, and they had them kind of tucked alongside the entrance to the American Experience, or the area like the rotunda where you would hear Voices of Liberty, alongside there. And there actually was really good shade in that area. So if it wasn't raining, that would be a good place to dine outside. Now, we had staked out a table there and we were going to eat there. And then my husband went in to get the food, and he came back and said, "There's nobody inside. We can go dine inside." So we were really excited because we actually got to dine indoors at Regal Eagle. And so we went in, and there was one other party in this huge cafeteria space, only one other party. And we were like, all right, we'll take it. That's pretty darn good social distancing. So be sure to check inside. It may be that everybody's outside and nobody realizes that they could dine inside. So make sure you check it out. Our number one pick for physically distanced dining at Epcot is Katsura Grill. We actually love Katsura Grill. It is a really, really wonderful quick service. It's often overlooked. In fact, I missed it for years. I didn't even know it was there. It's up on the hill. You go up through the Japanese garden in the Japan Pavilion, and there is this wonderful quick service. There are multiple dining patios, which again, I didn't even know they had multiple patios until recently. So they have kind of an upper outdoor area, and then there is another lower patio that's kind of tucked back into the trees more. Those seemed very lightly attended. There were not a lot of people there when we went by, and especially the lower patio, you could probably just eat there and nobody else would be eating near you. You'd have your own private area. It was just great. So I would highly recommend that. That would be my number one pick for Epcot. Moving on to Hollywood Studios, our favorite places for physically distanced dining at Hollywood Studios. So the first one on our list would be Ronto Roasters. And this is good and bad. Of course, Ronto Roasters has some pretty tasty food. The Ronto wrap is really quite good, and we enjoy eating there. However, that one's a little bit tricky to find a table. So we had some difficulty finding tables that were spaced out enough. Look, Disney tries, and they put markers on the tables, and they have them spread out so that you don't sit too close. But that was one of the places where I was a little bit uncomfortable with how close together everyone was. I would recommend, if it's not raining, I would actually go out on the pathways. They have some of the tables spread out. And since the land is just not that crowded now, there aren't that many guests in the theme park, it's a lot easier to sit kind of out on those tables that are spread out. Next up is Docking Bay 7. So Docking Bay 7 has a pretty comfortable indoor area. Again, I'm skipping all the indoor stuff because I'm all about outdoor dining for right now for safety reasons. There is a rather small outdoor seating area for Docking Bay 7, so you could try to sit there. Again, if you couldn't find a spot, you could move out, spread out a little bit more around Galaxy's Edge, find some of those tables that they spaced out for you, and I think you could make that work. Our next pick for physically distanced dining in Hollywood Studios is Rosies All-American Cafe. So this is located on Sunset Boulevard, and this is the very large, expansive dining area along Sunset Boulevard, which actually has Catalina Eddie's and Fairfax Fare, along with Rosies All-American Cafe. And normally you have all three of these open, and then you can kind of take your pick, and it's great because different people in your party might have different interests or tastes, and they can order from those separate locations. Right now, when we were at Disney World, only Rosie's was open, so it was a little bit more limited. However, it is a very large seating area, which gives you the ability to spread out pretty well. A lot of the tables are covered, which is good for sun and rain. We found it to be the most physically distanced for us to go way, way to the back and kind of find a back corner where there aren't tables all the way around you. So if you find a perimeter or a corner or something, that was kind of an easier way where there aren't so many opportunities for other people to come up and sit right next to you. Finally, our number one pick for physically distanced dining. Boy, I never in a million years thought that this could ever be a number one on any list. Pizza Rizzo. I mean, look, I love a rat as much as the next person. I'm a rat fan, okay? And I like Rizzo. But man, I never thought Pizza Rizzo would be the top of any list. Actually, Pizza Rizzo had a fairly comfortable area for outdoor dining. I was really pretty pleased. So pleased that we actually had lunch there 2 different days of our trip. They have a pretty good sized indoor dining area. They were not using their upstairs area when we were there. However, it would be worth checking to see if there was anyone up there. And if there were like very few guests in the upstairs, I think you could probably dine up there comfortably as well. But we took advantage of their very large outdoor patio, and it is covered patio. And so we found that we were able to sit, on one end, and then maybe another party is in the middle and another party's far down at the end, and still maintain really, really good physical distancing. It had overhead fans, so you had really good airflow. It's a great place to be out of the sun and especially out of the rain. All right, next up, Animal Kingdom. Where are the best places to do physically distanced dining? At Animal Kingdom. So the first one on our list is to pick up your food at any of the quick service locations. And it's kind of a hike, but go over to Harambe Market. So Harambe Market is a quick service location, but it is not currently open. However, it has a pretty comfortable seating area. And the thing that I particularly liked about Harambe Market is that it has different clusters of tables. So we were there in like kind of a downpour, a real rainy time. And so we went back to a corner, and some other parties went, but they kind of went to these separate, isolated, they're like clustered underneath these covered areas. And that made it really comfortable for us to be able to dine at Harambe Market, and we just had no worries. No one was going to come and sit right down next to us. So that was a great spot. Also, if you bring your own food, that's a really great place to eat it. Next up would be Yak and Yeti. Yak and Yeti is a little bit, I would say a little bit busier area. They have an outdoor seating area, and I think some of it's kind of covered, but it's not totally covered and protected from the sun and rain, so that's a little bit of a negative. And you do have the pathway going past it, which is in and out of Kali River Rapids. So it's like a decent location. It's really not bad. It could definitely work. My next pick is Saturly Canteen in Pandora. This is a pretty busy dining location. It's popular, the food's quite good, and so I would definitely not recommend going at a peak time. However, we went at off-peak times, and there is a pretty good size, they have like a cover for the outdoor area, and we were prepared to eat outside, and my husband had gone and gotten the food, and I walked up to the cast member right at the door, and I just said, hey, are there very many people in there? And he said, oh no, I think there are only about 2 families dining in here right now. And I thought, ooh, I think we can go inside. So we went inside, we found kind of a back corner, and it was just a really comfortable location for us. And there were actually more people. It was more crowded outside than it was inside, just like our experience at Regal Eagle. It was one of those situations where people couldn't see how few people were inside, so they just weren't going inside. So you might want to check it out. It is worth your time. We had a very comfortable meal there, plenty of physical distancing, and we got to be inside and in air conditioning, which was awesome. Now we're to our top choice for physically distanced dining at Animal Kingdom, and I would say this was actually our top choice probably for any of the theme parks at Disney World, and it is Flametree BBQ. Flametree BBQ has pretty good food, and the best thing about it is that they have an expansive outdoor dining area. We knew coming in this was just going to be perfect. It was going to fit the bill perfectly for outdoor dining. And so what we did was we got our food, and a lot of people think that there's just dining up kind of on the upper section. There's a whole downhill, and you can take these ramps that go all downhill toward the water, and there is an expansive dining section. And the first time I dined there, I didn't even know about it. I thought it was just in the upper section. You'll see people waiting for tables at normal times, waiting for tables, when actually there's this whole area down below. So we took our food, we went all the way down to the water, and they have these little structures that protect you from the sun and the rain. And we went down and just got a seat in one of those little structures. Not only did we have that entire little area to ourselves, there was no one in any of the surrounding structures or anything. We were completely alone. So that was an excellent place for us to eat, take our masks off, be comfortable. And on top of that, even if you weren't really dining, maybe you just wanted to sit down and snack and have your drink for a few minutes, that would be a great place to do that because there's just nobody there, especially if you dine at an off-peak time. That would be ideal. Couple other quick tips for you. We did not go to Disney Springs on our recent trip. However, a vlogger that we like to follow, Tim Tracker, a lot of you know Tim and Jen, they actually went to Disney Springs and they dined at Wine Bar George. And if you have watched Tim Tracker in the time since Disney World has reopened, you know he is very particular. We are particular about how we behave and dine and the steps we take to protect ourselves. He and Jen are very particular. And they felt safe dining on the outdoor patio at Wine Bar George, so that's one that you might want to check out. That is a sit-down restaurant, not a quick service, but again, if it was good enough for Tim and Jen, we think it's worth mentioning. Our very favorite choice on the entire trip for outdoor dining was actually at a resort. It was at Wilderness Lodge, and it was Geyser Point Bar and Grill. This place was amazing. It was our first time dining there, and boy, we loved it so much. We actually ate there twice in a row, 2 days in a row. It is like a covered bar area. You're out on the water. It is open air, so you have really good airflow, and we felt very, very comfortable. They have comfortable seating. We had no problem getting a table. The food was fantastic, and we felt safe in that space because there was ample physical distancing between the tables. we could take our masks off and know that we had really good airflow, and we felt really, really good in that space. So I would give absolute top marks to Geyser Point. Couple other quick tips that might help you in planning for your dining. Make sure you dine at off-peak times so that the crowds are not as heavy. Disney really, really wants you to use the mobile ordering. It is really easy and fast. So feel free to get quick service food and actually take it to another location to eat. Be mindful of airflow. If you can select a table where you are not going to be downwind of somebody else, choose that table. Don't pick a table that is right next to a pathway where you're going to have a whole bunch of guests walking by. Our final tip is that even after all this effort, you've selected the perfect table, and then it starts to rain, and then everybody crowds in around you. Just be prepared for it. It could happen. It happened to us a couple of times where we were like, oh, this spot is just perfect. And then the skies open up and everybody crowds in and sits right next to you, and you're just like, we tried so hard. So that's going to happen at times, just don't be surprised. And one other little thing is, if somebody does come in and sit next to you, or they're too close to you, or whatever, you're not comfortable with the situation, advocate for yourself. This is about your health, your safety, and your comfort on vacation. And so, advocate for yourself and do what you need to do to keep yourself safe. We hope that you found this helpful. If you did, please make sure you hit that like button and the subscribe button as well, and hit the bell icon so that you know every time we have brand new content available to you. That's it for us today. Remember, there's magic in the music. Bye.